All righty. I will call the regular meeting of the Board of Public Works this August 31st, 2021 to order. First up, we have messages from the board. Do we have any messages from our board members tonight?
Well, I do have a message. You might be surprised, but the last 2 weeks have been really difficult with heat and students coming back and the virus. So I just want to urge you all to take care, be safe, and thank you for all the work you do.
Thanks, Beth. Next up, we have petitions and remonstrances. This is an opportunity for the public to speak on anything that's not on the agenda. So is there any public comment on anything that's not on the agenda tonight? If so, you could use the raise hand feature. You could put a chat in the chat box.
I don't see any public comments coming in.
Okay, thank you. Seeing none, moving on, we have the rejection of bids and quotes. This is the rejection of bids for the Tap and Deborah signal installation project and the Walnut Street traffic signal project.
Good evening, Matt Smithers with the Engineering Department. On August 9th, staff opened bids that were solicited by the Engineering Department for the Tap and Deborah signal installation project and the Walnut Street traffic signals project. We received one bid for each project. All of the bids that were received for these projects were all substantially higher than the engineer's estimate. Staff is asking that the board reject all the bids for these projects. If the bids are rejected, we would rebid the projects later this year.
Thank you, Matt. Any questions from the board? Any public comment on this item?
I don't see any.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I move to reject bids for the Tap and Deborah signal installation project and the Walnut Street traffic signals project.
And I second.
And I'll call for a vote. Kyla Cox-Deckard,
Yes.
Beth Hollingsworth,
Yes.
and Dana Hankey, yes. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is the consent agenda. On the consent agenda, we have the approval of minutes from August 17th, 2021, the addendum to the VO Ride interim operating agreement. Yes, Adam.
Dana, don't you need to do Title VI enforcement before the consent agenda?
Oh, okay. I think I have an old agenda then.
No, that was taken
That was
off.
removed,
I
yeah.
updated that.
Sorry, let me stop screwing things up.
Come on, Adam.
Dana, you keep doing what you need to do.
Okay, so we are in the consent agenda now, and in the consent agenda, we have the approval of minutes from August 17th, 2021, the addendum to the VO Ride interim operating agreement, the outdoor lighting service agreement with Duke Energy for North Blair Street, the revised outdoor lighting service agreement with Duke Energy for the phase 2 of the Showers Complex LED conversion project, addendum to the agreement with Centerstone, the noise permit for the 40 Days for Life rally, a noise permit for Walk to End Alzheimer's, and the approval of payroll. Are there any questions, comments from the board on the consent agenda? Any public comment on the consent agenda?
Again, if you're a member of the public that would like to comment on anything, you can use the chat function or you can use the raise hand function, but I'm not seeing anything, Dana.
I just saw one pop up. Isn't there a noise permit for AFSP as well? AFSP. Does anyone know what that might be? So, Mr. Uland.
Chains, I apologize.
Oh, okay.
I don't think that's on this agenda. No.
Okay. Well, April, do you have an application for that?
I do, but it's not for this agenda.
Okay.
I will get in touch with James.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, so we'll be in touch, James. Any other public comment on the consent agenda?
I do not see anything.
Okay. Do we have a motion on the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
And I second.
I'll call for a vote. Kyla Cox Deckard,
Yes.
Beth Hollingsworth,
Yes.
Dana Henke, yes. Consent agenda passes. Next up is new business. First is the amendment number 1 to construction inspection contract with Shrewsbury Associates LLC for the Discovery Parkway project.
Good evening, Neil Copper, Engineering Department. So this is a project that installs multi-use path along the north side of Discovery Parkway. It resurfaces the street and it also replaces curbs in the median. The construction is currently ongoing and we are under contract with Shrewsbury for construction inspection services. Due to a delay in the start date of that construction, we ended up with a different inspector. So this amendment changes the key personnel that are listed in Exhibit D of the contract, and it specifies the hourly rate for that new person. The total contract amount for the services remains unchanged at a not to exceed amount of $89,989.25. I would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Okay, any public comment on this item?
I don't see any.
I don't either. Do we have a motion?
Move that we approve amendment number 1 to construction inspection contract with Shrewsbury and Associates LLC for the Discovery Parkway project.
And I second.
And I'll call for a vote. Kyla Cox Deckard,
Yes.
Beth Hollingsworth,
Yes.
Dana Henke, yes. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is the change order number 2 and 3 for the College Mall Road resurfacing project with E&B paving.
Good evening. This is Roy Aiton with the City Engineering Department. On August 4th, the board awarded the contract to E&B Paving for the South College Mall Road repaving project in the amount of $494,950. This project included the repaving of South College Mall Road from East 3rd Street to East Morris Pike, replacement of non-compliant ramps and crosswalks, and the installation of bike lanes. Funding for the project was partially paid through a $382,075.51 community crossing grant. And at the April 27th meeting, the board approved change order 1 in the amount of $41,591 for the replacement of the curb ramps at the intersection of Covenanter and College Mall Road. This evening, we're bringing forth change order number 2, and it is in the amount of $1,819.38, and it will recover the replacement of a stormwater casting at the intersection of Covenanter and College Mall Road, make it an ADA compliant casting. And then also we're asking for approval of change order number 3 in the amount of $17,570.54. And that change order will be the final change order, and it's the balancing change order for the quantities on the project. If approved change order number 2 and number 3, the final construction for the project will be $555,930.92. Available for any questions?
Has the project been completed?
Yes, the project has been completed, punch walked, and we're just in the paperwork phase right now.
Thank you.
Do you think this is the last change order or do you anticipate future change orders?
We've already discussed this final change order with the contractor, and they've made no indication that they're going to come forth with any other claims. So I believe it's going to be the last change order.
Thanks.
Thank you. Any public comment on this item? I don't see any. Do we have a motion?
I move to approve change orders number 2 and number 3 for the College Mall Road resurfacing project with E&B paving.
And I second.
I'll call for a vote. Tyler Cox Deckard,
Yes.
Beth Hollingsworth,
Yes.
Dana Hankey, yes. Motion passes. Next is the request for lane closures, street closures, and sidewalk closures for the standard development project from Landmark.
Good evening. This is Paul Kerber with engineering. Landmark Construction is starting a redevelopment project at the former Brownstone Terrace Apartments. This is along the south side of East 14th Street from Walnut to Dunn. It will be called the Standard at Bloomington. And as part of this project, they are installing city-required utility upgrades, which includes new water mains, sanitary sewer, and storm sewer along East 14th Street. And once that's completed, they'll also be completing new curbs, sidewalks, and pavement along 14th Street. They will complete this work in a few different phases, starting in early September, and then the closures will last till November of 2021, with an ongoing sidewalk closure through August of 2023. And that's when they'll wrap up construction. And these are the following phases. It's phase 2A will be from approximately September 23rd to September 29th. This will include a closure on westbound 14th Street, just east of Walnut. Then phase 2B will be from approximately September 30th to October 6th, 2021. And this will be a continued westbound closure a little bit further east with flaggers in place to maintain two-way traffic. Then phase 4A will be from approximately October 7th to October 17th, 2021. And this will be a full closure on East 14th Street. And then phase 4B will be from approximately October 18th to November 25th, 2021. And this will be another full closure on East 14th Street, along with the sidewalk on the south side. And this will be as they move east with the water and sewer work. And then also there will be a general sidewalk closure on the south side of 14th. Like I said, that will go through August of 2023. There's a pedestrian detour there. As part of that, they'll be adding new city sidewalk on the east side of Dunn Street. There's a missing connection there. Then they'll be adding crosswalks on Dunn Street as part of that detour. The developer has been really coordinating with us and also the adjacent properties. And like I said, they're also doing upgrades for the city, and then just we're trying to do what we can to come to an agreement with everything.
Thank you. Questions from the board?
I just want to say to Eric, I questioned whether they had sent a recent letter to the property owners, and I did find that, and I read through it. My understanding is that that Public Works is finding that letter satisfactory, that it has enough information in it for property owners at this time.
Okay. Quick question on the sidewalk closures, like I see in a couple different phases, there's closures, but as they complete sections of the sidewalk, will they reopen them with kind of like according to the maintenance of traffic plan with correct signage and all that?
Yes, they will. And yeah, and then once the street closures are finished, there will be a sidewalk closure on the south side of 14th during construction.
Okay, any other questions from the board?
I just wonder if Chalco's concerns have been, if they've been satisfied with addressing their concerns.
We've addressed a majority of them. There was still the one issue with the full closure. I think it's 4A. there's no way around doing a full closure due to the depth and width of the excavation that they have to do. I don't know if Eric, if you want to speak to that.
Yeah, I mean, basically we have, full closure. We split that between 4A and 4B just to minimize the amount of, I guess, the way the traffic will be stopped heading westbound so they can come down at least Washington Street and cut over. But yeah, we have a sanitary line in the middle of the street and then a water line also that are going to be, they have to be upgraded there. So it's kind of difficult to even do a, I guess, partial shutdown because this sanitary is right in the middle of the street and it's about 8 feet, 8 feet deep. So it's basically nearly impossible. So I think within about a week and a half, we can get that little 4A section done and then at least allow people to come down Washington Street and head westbound on 14th Street. So.
Could you just state your name and who you're with for the record, please?
Yep, Eric Schulte with Landmark Construction.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So you said it would be a week and a half, or I'm looking at maybe 10 days here for a full closure.
Correct.
Of 14th, which because of the requirements and because of the size of the sewer line that you're putting in, it just seems to be there's no way around.
Yeah, like I said, the water line kind of takes up the I guess I'll call it the westbound lane, and then the sewer is basically right in the middle. So we're kind of it's kind of difficult to not shut them both down. And if we can just shut them both down, we'll get down and get out of the way. So, and then basically then from Washington Street to Dunn Street will be shut down completely for roughly what's that, a month and a half roughly. So,
Eric, in addition to the letter that you've sent to property owners, will you, at the time you have to have the complete shutdown of the street, or closure, will you then do extra notification of the property owners, which includes some driveway entrances? Will you be letting them know at that time that it's going to be happening, and just some extra notification of them, I think would be important.
Yes, I know there's at least one house there that they come onto 14th Street and there's no other way around that. So yes, we will definitely coordinate with them. We'll make sure that's plated, make sure they can get out in and out. I think our phase 2B and 4A kind of split around that driveway to try to minimize that impact. But yes, we will definitely obviously coordinate so people get in and out of their house. So yes.
Thank you.
And for clarification, during phase 4B, it's a full closure. Is it full closure between Washington and Lincoln? Is that, or Washington and Walnut?
Washington and Dunn.
Okay. And during that time, during 4B, is that going to be flagged, or is it just going to be the detour around the block for access?
It'd be a detour around the block.
Okay.
Yes.
Thanks.
And when we say full closure, we're talking around the clock. There's no and it's not until 5 p.m. and then we played it and can move on. You're doing work consistently throughout that week or 10 days.
Correct. Correct. We will keep the north sidewalk open, but the street itself, the south sidewalk and the street itself will be shut down. So pedestrians will be able to walk on the north side of 14th Street, but no vehicle traffic.
Okay.
Eric, will you be bringing 4A and B back to us before you begin that phase of the project? Because that's next, that's 23.
I think that's supposed to be included in, is that?
Yeah, so 4A and B are supposed to happen basically starting roughly the 1st of October, October 7th. And then, the sidewalk shut down in front of our property is basically going from, 4A all the way through construction. So yes, that
you'll keep us updated though on as you progress with this.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Thank you.
Any other board questions before public comment?
I'll just make a comment here. It's Adam Wason. Eric, I appreciate it. Kendall, I know you guys have all been working a lot on this. We'll definitely be, coming back to the board, during work sessions and other things. Paul's regularly in attendance on those, so we can be updating the board in those regards as well. Also, just for the board's knowledge and just for Paul and everybody, with the MOTs and such, those will all be memorialized as part of the right-of-way permits and all of that they're getting. So, those MOTs will be official public records in terms of what they've committed to, and so we'll have that and be working off of that. I've had some conversations this last week as well with the reps of the other properties and such, and so just want to assure folks of that as well. But appreciate all the coordination that's gone into this big project, and Eric and just having their phone numbers and contact information for all the adjacent property owners to contact and keep in touch as the project progresses. That's a big part of just good relations and good coordination on big projects like these. So we appreciate it. So thank you.
Okay, thanks, Adam. Any public comment?
Yes. My name is Bill Begg. I don't want to go out of order, so stop me if it's time. My name is Bill Beggs. I'm with Bunger and Robertson, represent Telco Inc. We were here with you a couple of weeks ago, and first I want to say that I appreciate Eric Schulte's responsiveness in working with us to try to solve some of the concerns that our client has with this project. A few things, if I could address maybe going west to east or numerically, just to some clarifications, and I would maybe ask if I get any of this wrong, I would ask that Mr. Schulte please, or somebody please let me know. But with regard to the MOA at 2A, it's section 2A, it's our understanding that that our clients will be able to, so we have two ingress egresses onto 14th Street, and that we'll be able to leave from both of those and travel east during 2A at all times. I understand that to be a yes, with potential short-term plating that might be necessary. Secondly, we understand that clients and employees and others who come to our business will always be able to cross 14th Street from west to east to access our property, which is important to us. And I understand the answer is yes to that. Also understand that even though westerly movements will be impacted at some point, that in section 2A, that cars will be able to come and leave from either of our drives, will not be able to go westerly from either of our drives, but will be able to go east. And so, in other words, east and then get to Washington Street to get up to 15th. So in other words, we're not going to be stranded and unreachable by clients and employees. So before I go to phase 4, I want to make sure I give everybody a chance to chime in if I've missed anything there. Let me know, or I'll keep going, whatever the board prefers.
I think you could keep going unless we hear from, yep, I think I would say keep going.
Okay. Phase 4, and again, I want to say how much we appreciate the developer's willingness to work with us. Phase 4 is the place where we've got a difference. 4A, obviously, if you look at the MOT, is the most impactful to our business, and it comes about at a tough time. And so our request, we tried to put 2 alternatives out there, and I guess I want to just make sure neither of them works. One, we suggested, would it be possible to flip 4A and 4B in terms of the sequence in which that work is done? And the second thing we requested or tried to make work is there some way that 4A could happen earlier? I guess we don't care about 4B because that does not impact the ability of customers and staff to get to us, but 4A does. And so if there were a way to move 4A up sooner. I've talked at some length with Eric Schulte about that, and I understand that to be problematic, but those would be two solutions that we tried to put out there and that we want to make sure simply can't happen. From the standpoint of the sidewalks, I'm glad somebody asked about sidewalks. It wasn't entirely clear to me, but it's my understanding that the north side of 14th Street sidewalks will remain open at all times throughout the project, with minor exceptions for when there are some handicap ramps that need to be revised and so forth, but that there will always be sidewalk access along the north side of 14th Street, which I think was a little bit at odds with something that we read at one point. And we also had a concern about the ability of our tenants to get in and out, and of trash removal to get in and out. And it's our understanding, the representation's been made that that easternmost access to our properties will always be available and open and accessible. And so that's obviously important to us. So I just wanted to make sure that I got that out, and that one area of disagreement could be, at least if it just can't be solved, but I want to make sure it can't, and then that the other points that I've accurately recited them going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. So I guess the questions are, one, is it just not possible to make that closure happen earlier or swapped with phase 4B? I guess I'm looking for yep, it's not possible, or from either staff or Mr. Schulte.
I defer to Mr. Schulte on that.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Eric.
So as far as the timing, obviously if the work on phase 1, 2A and 2B go quicker, I mean, we'd gladly move that up to make that work. It's kind of hard to tell at this point on how things go, but I mean, if we get the first 3 phases done sooner, and obviously we'll do that sooner if we can, to accommodate. As far as like the phasing, obviously we're working from Walnut Street to the east. I mean, our water line's being laid from Walnut Street, we're working west to east. So to kind of hop over a section, it's just not kind of typical, to run a water line that skip a 50-foot section and then go again and then come back to it. I mean, as far as the timing, I said, if we, for some reason, obviously we want to go as fast as we can. I think it's better for everybody. If we can move that up, we'll try to. It's kind of hard to, I guess, commit at this time, but it's kind of my stance, I guess. But,
Okay, thank you. And then regarding the north sidewalks on 14th, are those to remain open at all points during the project?
Yeah, to kind of confirm what Bill said. So we do at the time do like some fire hydrants. We had to do some sidewalk improvements over there, which most of those will happen later on. So there's going to be some minor shutdowns, and that's we're doing city upgrades. So, but yeah, we'll try to minimize that impact. But for 99% of the construction, that sidewalk will be open. Yes.
Okay, and the last one was just the easternmost entrance on 14th will remain open.
Correct.
Project.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions from the board about those comments or responses? Any other public comment or response? Okay, seeing none. Do we have a motion by the board?
I move approval for lane closures, street closures, and sidewalk closures for the standard development project from Landmark for September 23rd, 2021 through November 25th of 2021. This goes a little longer.
I thought it was 23, yeah.
Yeah. Let me see if I can find that date here, if it's not readily available.
Let's see.
1 second.
So it looks like there is a general construction phase that happens after November 25th. Are we, and that's from November 25th to August 11th of 2023. Are we including that in our approval today, or are we only approving work through the end of November of this year? And that's Adam, April.
Go ahead, Paul.
I was just going to say, they had submitted the application for all of it. And I know we were hoping to approve all of it.
Yeah, so that was my understanding as well, that we'd be approving all of it at this time and coming back to the board during work sessions with regular updates.
Okay, so the date then is, what's the August date in 2023?
This looks like
It's-
August 11th.
Yes, August 11th.
Okay, so let me just confirm my motion here, just one second.
And
Just to
while
get-
you're doing that, it looks like we did have public comment. That I'll, if it's okay, Kyla, I'll go ahead and read
Sure.
from the chat. Microphone's not working. It's okay. Can we repeat when the closures affecting Terra Trace are, or is that public somewhere? I repeat the approval process or repeat kind of.
I think what's being asked here is repeat when the closure is affecting, when the full closure of 14th is between Dunn and Eric, could you help us understand that for the Terra Trace folks? And we did discuss at the last meeting that Terra Trace will have access from other points other than 14th Street as well.
That is correct. Yeah, and those dates will be basically October 18th through November 25th. Yes.
Perfect.
Yep.
Thank you, Eric.
Okay, and that was a comment from Emily Schlickman. And it looks like we have one more question. Clarification about phase 3. Sure, go ahead, Mr. Beggs.
So, yeah, thank you. So I guess I didn't understand the 2023 term of this. The one thing I guess I want to make sure we're clear about is, and you heard this last time and a brief reference to it today, there is a phase 3. You know, you'll notice last time you approved phase 1, today is 2A, 2B, 4A, 4B, and 3 is missing from that. And it is our understanding that phase 3, which will also be a significant impact to telco, will be the subject of a separate petition, notice, and hearing process. And I don't think anybody misunderstood that, but I want to make sure the record's clear on that, and that we didn't just vote past that tonight.
Paul, can you please comment to that?
Yes, that's correct. The phase 3 will be
Okay.
next summer, I think. So, yeah.
Okay, but the board's not approving phase 3 this evening. That'll come back.
Correct. Yep. Not
Thank you.
approving phase 3.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Okay, so then if it's okay, I'd like to just enumerate the phases that we're approving in the motion, because the date is like inclusive of all of the phases, but the agreements we're approving are specific phases. So I would move that we approve the request for lane closures, street closures, and sidewalk closures that are included in phases 2A, 4A, and 4B. Is there a 2B?
There's a 2B.
Okay. Phases 2A, 2B, 4A, and 4B. And this will take place between September 23rd of 2021 and August 11th of 2023 by the Standard Development Project from Landmark.
I second, that's all that we're going to include.
Okay, I'll call for a vote. Kyla Cox Decker,
Yes.
Beth Hollingsworth,
Yes.
Dana Hankey is yes, and motion passes.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
You for your hard work. Okay. All right, so next up is staff reports and other business. It looks like there are no
No.
staff reports tonight.
We do
No.
still have one more item, I think.
Contract with Ann Chris.
Mhm.
Oh, yep, sorry about that. Let's hop back to the contract with Ann Chris LLC.
Yeah, JD Borth, Public Works Facilities. This contract that we ask approval for is for repair of flood damages at the Bloomington Police Department. During the recent flooding, they had extensive damages downstairs to the drywall and flooring. We've got everything cleaned up and dried out. Now we want to fix it so we can move the police staff back in the basement. We solicited 4 quotes. The low bidder was Ancris LLC at $93,234. And we would request approval of a contract with Ancris for these repairs. And I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions from the board?
Yeah, are we getting federal funding for the repairs of this since it is due to flood damage? It wouldn't be in a budgeted item.
That would probably be a question for Adam to answer. I haven't really been involved in those discussions.
I think Adam has stepped away since he had to take care of something outside of the building.
Yeah, I'd hate to.
Has had to step away from the meeting for a moment. So Beth, we can try to get that answer for you.
That's okay. I just wondered about where the funding was coming for this because it's.
Yeah, I'd hate to give you the wrong information. I'm not up to date on all that, the grants and FEMA or any type of federal money involved in the project.
When do they plan to start the renovations?
Well, we'd like to start them right away. I walked through with the contractor today. And this is a priority repair for us because, like I said, the police department is operating at reduced capacity as far as office space. They're kind of on top of each other. They're in their squad room, and we'd like to try to get their downstairs. It's primarily where the detectives' offices are located downstairs. So we hope to have it repaired within 6 to 8 weeks and get the staff moved back in down there.
Okay.
Any other questions from the board? And we've worked with Ann Chris a lot before, so.
Yeah, they're actually the general contractor. We have a service agreement with the Public Works. We worked with them on several projects.
Great. Okay, do we have any public comment on this item? I don't see any in the chat. I don't see any raised hands. Do we have a motion?
I move approval of contract with Ann Chris LLC for repairs of flood damage to the Bloomington Police Department, $93,234.
And I second?
I'll call for a vote. Kyla Cox Deckard,
Yes.
Beth Hollingsworth,
Yes.
Dana Hankey, yes, motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. And next up, we have staff reports and other business.
No staff reports this evening.
Thank you. And we have approval of claims next. Any questions on claims from the board? Any public comment on claims? I don't see any. Do we have a motion on claims tonight?
Oh, Beth, are you muted?
Yeah. Yeah, I am. I move approval of claims, $897,205.40.
And I second?
And I'll call for a vote. Kyla Cox Deckard,
Yes.
Beth Hollingsworth,
Yes.
Dana Hankey, yes. Motion passes. And
I'm going to ask Adam if he would be willing to discuss the other scooters in town, update us a little bit on what's going on with Bird and Lime, and at this point, and how that part of the project is going. Next meeting.
Overall, I think just fine. I know they're starting to increase some of their numbers with the students being back, but we can get a full update at the next board meeting, work session from ESD.
Good, thank you.
Perfect.
all righty. If there's nothing else, I will call for adjournment.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks.
Be safe.
Have a
Thank
great
you.
night.
Bye-bye.